Some of you have pointed out in the comments that some of the entries in the first video are a bit outdated or wrong, so to clear up some confusion, here are a few updates and a few more rare games added to it. So yes, it is rare, and I've stated that it was rare due to being only released in Germany and Switzerland. However, that is not the real story of why State Event is a rare game. So when Bandai released the game back in 1987, it came out with a peripheral called the Family Fun Fitness Pad, similar to Dance Revolution. However, Nintendo released the game as World Class Track Meet in 1988, and the fitness pad was renamed Power Pad. Once all that happened, then Nintendo pulled all the copies of the original off the shelves once the new release came out. Now the part being only in Germany and Sweden, well, that is partly true. As I said before, Nintendo pulled all the original American versions of the game off the shelves once they released it as World Class Track Meet. However, the original were still sold in Germany and Sweden, selling for about $200 today. So yes, you may find some people claiming to have sold it at eBay. However, be a bit careful that you may end up being scammed. To avoid this, check the seller's rating. If the rating is 4 to 0, or if the comments are generally negative, then avoid them at all costs. So yes, the gameplay you saw in the first video was the Nintendo version of the game. So here's the actual gameplay of the game, and now you can play the game on the Genesis Mini. So as I said in the previous video, I had said that Wrecking Crew was rare. However, the rarity of the game has changed since you can find copies of the game sold on eBay for relatively cheap. So in the previous video, I had said back in the 90s, Nintendo held a bunch of competitions, and one of those was the Nintendo World Championship. However, Nintendo has held competitions on college campuses, and Spring Break Destination is titled the Nintendo Campus Challenge. Contestants had to get the high score on 3 demo versions of Super Mario Bros., Pinbot, and Dr. Mario. So what makes this one so rare is that after the competition was over, Nintendo destroyed most of the copies of the cartridges, except for one employee who kept his cart and then sold it at a garage sale to Rob Walters in 2006. This garage sale is legendary among retro gamers because Rob bought all kinds of rare gems for the NES for only $1,000. And by the time he resold what he had, he got 50 times more than he had paid for them, and part of that $50,000 was just Campus Challenge alone, which went for $1,400. Rob sold that, and then a buyer who bought it turned around and sold on eBay for $20,100. And that copy is the only copy in existence, well, as far as I know. A while ago, I had did a video talking about 4 tire games that centered around a contest. Well, there is one game that also held a contest, and that was Atlantis. However, this one goes like this. The developers of Atlantis held a contest to see who could come up with the highest score of the game, and to prove it, you had to send in a picture of your TV showing your high score. The best players were then sent Atlantis 2, a special edition of the game that featured faster enemies and fewer points, making it even harder to get the highest score, but easier to determine who was the highest score. Because there's no mass production for the Atlantis 2 carts, thus making it extremely rare. However, if you find a copy of one at a garage sale, be sure to Google it and take a closer look, because the Atlantis 2 carts had the same label as the first one, but with a small white sticker saying Atlantis 2 on it. And it's easy to peel off, so do a good Google search to find out if you got a $3 Atari game or a $6,000 rarity. This is another one of those games that at one point in time people believed it did not exist, and that is because the developer of the game, Metavision, or Metovision, if you wanted to call it that, never actually put the name of the game on the cartridge at all. When the game came out in 1984, it was a bright blue T-hand casing, which made it stand out from the original black Atari cartridge. Yes, I know a few second copies of the game have been sold, but no one that sells it can actually say they were the real owner of the game, since there was never really a label at all, and there were only 12 copies left. This original name of the game was Revenge of the Jedi Game 1, but most known it as Ewok Adventure. The reason why it is legendary is that it was actually never put out to the public, due to the fact the Parker brothers shut the game down, claiming the controls of the game were too hard to master. Basically, in the game, you take control of an Ewok while flying in a hang glider, shooting at Imperial stormtroopers and other Imperial troops. The game's developer, Larry Glenberg, gave the only prototype he had to his friend's son, who then turned around and sold it for $1,680. So there are a few updates and some new games added to my list of rare games. If I missed any, let me know in the comments below, or if my info is wrong, feel free to correct me. Till then, I'm Professor Retro saying peace out, stay frosty, and game on.